So there's a rule out there called the FTC Safeguards. It was revised a year ago, and it was supposed to go into enforcement on December 9th of this year, so a few days ago. They postponed that enforcement date to June 2023. SEC has a similar rule, SEC Safeguards, but FTC applies to really non-bank financial institutions. So what does that mean? What's a financial institution that's not a bank? Well, a mortgage broker, a car dealership, another broker of financial products that sells financial products that's not a bank. Because banks have their own compliance. They have their own federal compliance, and credit unions have their own state compliance. So FTCs are really anything that's not a bank. Now, one thing I've noticed is that people that are involved with these, let's use car dealerships, for example. Car dealerships tend to want to put all the onus on their dealer management system vendor. So they say, hey, we have Dealer Track or whatever dealer management system, and they're keeping us secure, so we don't have to worry about compliance. Well, the FTC is pretty specific in that you are responsible for the compliance, and that you are responsible for monitoring and third-party risk of your vendors. So, as far as FTC is considered, it's your problem, not your vendor's problem. Yes, if you have it in your contract and stuff, you can sue your vendor, but the FTC's fees and fines may be so high that you're going out of business. I don't know if anybody's ever seen what FTC penalties often look like, but if you look at Facebook and some of these larger companies that have gotten FTC fines, it can be millions and billions of dollars. So it can be very very counterproductive to ignore these controls. One thing that a lot of people don't understand about FTC is it's an administrative department, or it's an administrative agency, and it's meant for consumer protection. So FTC really has two kind of main things they're worried about: is consumer protection and fair trade, which would be like antitrust and avoiding monopolies and stuff like that. So consumer protection, like safe car seats, stuff like that, making sure that you're not selling something that's dangerous to consumers. Now, FTC in the last, dozen years has been highly involved in privacy of consumer data. And that's because, they're viewing that as safety concern, consumer safety. So, because they're extending consumer protection to that. And that's become the norm. Now, when you get in trouble with the FTC, that can get extrapolated to other courts. State courts may pick up, the Attorney General's office may put actions against you for violating, state privacy laws. But the FTC is a federal, agency, and so the FTC will hold their own hearings with you that are really outside of the court of law. They're not really, they don't follow your normal, criminal or civil court proceedings. Very similar to a civil court proceeding, and you should have representation when you go into them, but they have their own rules. And, so it's an administrative court and hearing, and so they have this power to, levy actions against you without really going through the normal law process, and without there can be a lot of injunctions against your company that are really allowed by the FTC to do without having to go through a normal legal court process. So the FTC can be scary. So is all I'm saying. So ignoring FTC safeguards is not a healthy thing to do. And a lot of people are concerned about other compliances, HIPAA, things like that. FTC is outside of all of these. So you can get hit with other fines and legal fees and get sued by customers and then your HIPAA breach costs and all that stuff. And then the FTC whacks you. So, or, and you can also have fines levied on you or your ability to process credit cards taken away by PCI. There's a lot of things that can have a compounding effect here. So, but anyway, I just wanted people to really understand that FTC is really a far-reaching thing that it can affect any customer that deals with anything to deal with consumer stuff. The FTC at any time can say that you are dangerous to consumer safety. Here's your fine, but specifically with the FTC Safeguards rule, that's applying to people that are selling financial products that are not a bank. So the biggest impacted industry that we're seeing right now is car dealerships. Car dealerships historically have almost no security in place. They put almost all the responsibility on their dealer management system vendor, and as a result, it's easy to breach them. In ransomware cases and incident response, we've done several car dealerships in the last couple of years. So, very large car dealerships, will get ransomware and all their functionality is encrypted and their servers are encrypted and all of their locations. So, that is just a sign that they're not really taking security as seriously as some other companies. There are exceptions, but from the car dealerships that I've seen, you walk into them and they really have no directory. They have no continuous logging, no monitoring systems, no EDR, no MFA, no encryption, no data lifecycle, because they like to keep the data for forever. That's one thing too. The FTC Safeguards now requires data lifecycle and retention policies, so that you're not keeping customer data for more than 2 years. That's going to shake the world, because I know when I've had a car for 3 or 4 years, car dealerships start to reach out to me to sell me another car. So now I can, put an FTC complaint against them because of that, because obviously they're keeping data for more than 2 years. Anyway, just kind of wanted to rant about FTC a little bit. I deal with it a lot, so feel free to comment any questions, and I'd be glad to do real, not just car rants, but real, episodes on FTC safeguards. All right, thanks a lot, guys.